I always go back to that passage in the Bible where Jesus was confronted the man at the well who was waiting for years and years and years to be healed. And he went up to him and he asked him, do you want to be healed? And he started giving all these excuses and like, oh, I can't because I can't do this and I can't do this.
You can't go down by the pool. People,
That's not the question.
Mm.
Do you want to be healed? Coaching works for people who are ready. Who want to be healed or are ready to pick up their mat and ready to walk. Because if we're constantly making excuses or blaming other people, and again, I can work with you through that too, because that's a mental block, but you're going to get the most out of it when you're like, yep, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Let's go.
Welcome to the Precision Total Health Podcast, your go-to resource for high-value, no-fluff episodes that give you the tools to optimize your health and perform at your best as a mission-driven female leader. I'm Lori Aikman, former college athlete, seasoned nurse practitioner, and founder of Precision Total Health, a concierge functional medicine practice. Let's get started. Today on the podcast, we have biblical holistic health and life coach Jana Skaudis. About 12 years ago, Jana and her family started exploring the world of holistic living. Each little step they took into living a cleaner lifestyle made such a difference that they never looked back. Around the same time, the Lord took Jana through seasons of deep surrender and stewardship. Amazed by the freedom she experienced in both arenas, a fire ignited in her to help others break the change the world has taught us to willingly put on ourselves. Her passion is specifically to walk with women to unleash their true potential. I love it. Welcome to the podcast, Jana.
Thank you so much, Lori. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I have to confess, though, I have like those podcast jitters like we always get before we do anything big. But this is like part of the things that I teach people. I was sitting there talking to myself. I'm like, do hard things. Do hard things. You're fine. You're not going to die. It's fine.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to dive in. We kind of heard a little bit in your bio, just like your background with this. So tell me, what does biblical holistic health and life coaching look like?
I love that question because I think when I first got into coaching, there is a very worldly view of it. And where my heart is and will always be is to direct people towards the kingdom, because I truly believe that true healing only comes through the person who created us, the being that created us. So unless we are doing it with him included, it's not going to work. Plus, I'm also not the world expert in all the health things and all the life things, but he is. So I always take my coaching as I sit back and let him direct it. I take leaning from him. A lot of times, I'll confess to my clients, like I'll show up and be like, I don't know what we're supposed to talk about today because I feel like there's something that's just going to be revealed. And I just am sensitive to the Spirit's leaning into it because he genuinely, it's amazing when he just reveals things. And I'll have a lot of times be talking to someone, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that was something that I read this week, or that was something that I was praying about and I heard that, or like 2 other people already told me that this week. So I just think that there's just more impact when we do it through the Spirit as well. But also what I've kind of learned, I used to have this view that our body, mind, and spirit were sort of like a trifecta. Like we had to get them perfectly balanced. And if one of them was, and I genuinely use this all the time, if one of them is out of balance, it's like a tricycle without a wheel. You're going to be leaning funky. But what I've learned along this journey with God is that if we get our spiritual life in alignment, the other 2 fall into place just beautifully and perfectly. So like as we're abiding, we'll also start to abide through our health and our mental health and all of the physical health. So it just kind of like is beautiful. So if we prioritize the spiritual, it all kind of lines up. And I've just seen that to work in my life. So that's what I try to share people. It's just a different perspective as typical health and life coaching you can find anywhere.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I know people who are Christians that maybe do coaching like that, right? But maybe not people who are combining it like you do.
Right. Yeah. It's sort of like Christian therapy. You can do therapy or you can do Christian therapy. And I just feel like that I will always lean towards the Christian therapy because I just don't think that there's true deep healing without that.
Got it. So, and that is a good good segue into, so how do you see like coaching and therapy being different?
Yeah, it's so, because I 100% believe in therapy. I believe that there's modalities out there for every season that we're in and a purpose for it. The problem that I see though is people kind of get stuck in this therapy wheel where they're constantly trying to uncover their feelings. And it is so helpful for seasons of grief and trauma that you've been through. I am not skilled in that. That's not my skill set. That's not my gifting. So sometimes someone will meet with me and I'll be like, you know what, you probably should go through grief therapy first or combine it, like get your grief therapy. And the difference that I see, therapy is more feelings based, sort of like get it out, just learn to expose it and say it. Whereas coaching is very much more action based. So we're going to talk about stuff and I want you to build habits around this. I want you to, because like we'll get through this eventually, but like your beliefs are what you do, not what you think. So when someone thinks something, they're like, oh yeah, they can say all day long that they believe the chair is going to hold them, but they don't really believe the chair is going to hold them unless they sit in that chair and they go, see, I told you. So it's more getting the actions behind it and getting daily movement, whereas therapy can take a long time to uncover some stuff. And you can go through coaching and therapy at the same time. But I think people think that this is just like the JV version of therapy, where I'm just more like, let's go do this. This is every day. Put your feet to the pavement and let's go.
Yeah, I love that. So maybe a little more action oriented.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I give homework assignments. I want you to come back and talk about it. And it's up to you. Like if it's wherever your pace is, if you didn't do the homework assignment, like we're going to be staying on that level until you do, because sometimes you're just not ready to do that. But yeah, that's assessing like what is going on. Why are you stuck? I think that's a lot of coaching too, because a lot of times therapy will say it's an emotional stuckness. And where I come from with the spiritual aspect, I see it as a spiritual stuckness of a lot of times there's an agreement that we made, and that's a whole thing we could go into. Something that's been spoken over your life that you have accepted, right? So for instance, like my husband was told when he was younger, you're just not smart. Somebody told him along the lines, you're just not smart. You're a great jock. Go play football. You don't have to succeed in school. So he accepted his whole life. I'm just not smart. Until recently, crazy enough, we've been speaking that and I make him say it out loud and it's amazing the doors that will open and be unleashed. And his boss even said to me the other day, he's like, Bernie, you're so smart. And it just like, it hit him. Like no one's ever told me that before. But letting go of those things that are literally tying us to slavery and to like, it's the opposite of freedom, breaking out of those things and discovering. So that's sort of like, I guess you could say it's like combined with therapy because we do a lot of deep talks, but they're not always associated with just the feelings. It's the spiritual aspect of it tied into the feelings. So learning how to break those out through just things that we say. And there's a big difference to me between just saying things, manifesting between that and speaking life into yourself, because they're in scripture, it says there's power of life and death in the tongue. And it's true. So we need to just be watching what we say and do. And if it's just as simple as that, of just changing the way that we speak, that's what I'm there to walk with you through.
Right. I remember being taught by a coach, I don't know if it's called like a belief cycle, but yeah, where your beliefs determine there's beliefs determine the thoughts, which determines action, which determines your reality. Right.
Yep.
And so to change your reality, you've got to go back to the beginning and change that belief.
Yep. And so that's when that's kind of where we start from, is like people will say something and I'm okay, what do you actually believe that? And show me where you believe that, because you can't just say it. So, and then we go back and we break down, where is it that the belief system is not connecting to the reality? Because a lot of people say that they want to believe and they want to do this, but there's just something. And so to me, that's where we get to the spiritual aspect of it. And we break that. We break that tie, we break that chain, and we step forward in freedom. And then we have to, sometimes it takes baby steps too. A lot of us have to take those, like, this feels so weird. We're unlearning a lot of things that we've learned.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah. And I think, when we've had, I think for myself, I think there's been beliefs that I didn't even realize. I never even, paid attention to, like, oh, I believe this. Yeah. And it was almost like hit it as like becoming the awareness of it. And then how do we walk through and actually change
and
that
it's a process through life too. And different stages of life will bring those out.
Mm-hmm.
Parenting will definitely bring those things out. You become
Right.
way more aware of your triggers. And
Yes.
that's our job. Our job as parents is to heal. It's not our kids' job to heal us. It's not their job to endure what we are carrying through from our childhood. And so
Mm-hmm.
deciding for their sake, if that's the only thing that does it, just for their sake, that we're going to be better people so that we don't
Right.
pass on these generational curses and all of these things onto them too.
Mm-hmm. So when someone comes to work with you, like what are things that are going on in their life that because you do health and life coaching.
Yeah.
So is it somebody who's feeling stuck physically? Like when somebody's like, "Hey, I think I need to work with you." Like what might be things that they're dealing with or going through?
Most people come to me for health coaching
Mm-hmm.
because that's just a huge passion of mine. I teach
Mm-hmm.
ingredient label reading, like, because I do think that that's sort of a big aspect in the general world
Mm-hmm.
that has been not taught very well is how
Mm-hmm.
to help our bodies just be the creation. And this is where stewardship comes in.
Yeah.
We're supposed to steward our bodies the same as we do our finances, our families, our homes, all the things. We forget about our bodies. And
Mm-hmm.
especially in the Christian world, I see a lot of that. We just kind of like shove that in the corner. As long as you're reading your Bible and doing all these things, yes. But if you're not physically able to step up and do the calling that God is asking you to do at the time,
Right.
you're kind of having a crutch. So a lot of it, since that's my passion, I've been talking about this for years,
Mm-hmm.
is health. So most people come to me for that. And so they could be like, I just want to start eating healthier. I want to exercise, but I don't know why I'm stuck. I want, just list a health issue. Like I'm hitting perimenopause and I got to do something about this. It's good. That's
Right.
the stage I'm in. And so that's typically where it starts. And what is fascinating to me is my holistic health lifestyle so parallels my spiritual. And God
Mm.
is constantly revealing that to me because a lot of times it's about surrender. It's about sacrifice. It's about, doing self-control, all of these things that these
Right.
things are like fruits of the spirit. Like it aligns with holistic living as well. And so to take people on that journey of it's not just about eating well. It's about the stewardship of your body. It's about, and when you show them the things that are possible when being healthy, what's possible spiritually, like your mind gets healthier.
Yeah.
You can connect with the Holy Spirit better when you're in a better mental place. If you're not
Right.
tired all the time or have chronic fatigue and stuff, you're able to like get up and do things. So typically, yeah, that's typically where people start is I want to do this better, or I have this, I want to
Yeah.
lose weight, or I just want a better diet, but I'm so overwhelmed by all of the stuff to do for it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many things telling you, eat this, eat that, don't eat this, don't eat that.
I am
How do it
not a
make
yo-yo
sense of it
dieter.
all?
I don't believe in elimination diet. And let me take that back. I believe in elimination dieting when you have like a food sensitivity, but I
Mm.
don't believe in restrictive dieting. That's more of what I
Right.
was saying. I'm
Okay.
not a fan of you can't. I'm like, well, I want to
Mhm.
show you what you can. Yes, I'm going to show you things that are just detrimental to your health because you've never been told. Most of the
Right.
foods out there have not, they're just shoving it down your throat on all the commercials and stuff, and they have no idea what's actually in that stuff and what it's doing to your body. So I will enlighten people, and they don't like to hear that stuff. Who does? But when they start stepping into just eat real food, find out what your body responds to well, and just eat that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I like to simplify things.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. A lot of times, I steer away with my patients. I mean, I do help people with weight loss, but I steer away from like our goal is just for you to lose weight right now,
Yes.
because it's like we have to get your body, we have to decrease inflammation, and we've got to, like I'm like, these are the things we're doing in your body, which may result in some weight loss. And
Right.
of course we have to do this. It's healthy to move your body, but I think especially for us women and, I don't know. I think sometimes like the younger women like have it, there's so much more body positivity. Like I feel like
Yeah.
growing up for me, it
Yeah.
was like being as thin as possible. Just that was
Yep.
beautiful, was being super, super
Right.
thin.
Mhm.
And we just I don't know, I just think
We've
like
swung completely in the opposite direction, which there is a beauty in accepting your body for the way that it
mm,
was created to be. But what I'm seeing is we're going beyond that and we're
mm,
creating this almost like a monster of just do what you feel,
Right.
that whole thing. And if you look at people in the extreme body positivity movement, they're not healthy. They're
Right.
genuinely not healthy. So that is not, I'm sorry, but it's not the
Right.
way your body was created. Some
Right.
people are larger, some people are smaller. That's just it. And I'm fine with that. But are you, like when you say we're looking at your metabolic structures, are you healthy? I don't care
Right.
what you look like. I don't care what
Mm-hmm.
size you wear. I don't care what the scale says. Are you healthy? Are
Yeah.
you moving well? Do you sleep well? Are
Right.
you joyful? Like all of these things, like that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not that, I like your body only carries you so much so far. So yeah,
Agreed.
you have to look deeper than just the surface. And it is that the weight loss is the cherry on the top, right?
Right.
To getting those jeans from, who wants to wear jeans from high school anyway, though? There's a that's outrageous, overrated.
Uh, yeah, but no, I agree because I think, yes, if we look at the data, there are serious health risks of being obese, right? And you can go on about BMI and that's inaccurate, but when you have a lot of fat, when you have high insulin levels, right, you're not metabolically healthy, you're increased risk of just dying in
Mhm.
general, right?
Yep.
Increased mortality
Yep.
with higher weight. But then I've seen like diabetics that are rail thin and have blood sugars sitting in
Yep.
the 200s all day. I've seen
So
like
one
I
extension
think
to the
yeah,
other. Yeah.
detaching that. Okay, what you look like, but like let's get down to let's get down to the numbers. Let's see what
Yes.
actually is going on in your body,
Mhm.
and let's get you again healthy
Yep.
metabolically, and
Yeah.
then yeah, that's going
And
to
I
be
think that that's a
reflective on the
difficult thing. A
outside.
lot of people come to me and they're like, because they want to do the weight loss or they want to do this, this, and this, but it's like, and they want to know, they're so ingrained in sort of the Western medicine mindset of what probiotic do I take? And I'm like,
Yes.
I don't have that answer. That is so
Yeah.
specific to your very specific gut balance.
Yes.
You
Hmm.
have got to go get testing done. You need to know what's in your gut.
Yeah.
And that's why I love referring them to people like you who are like, go get the numbers.
Right.
We'll work from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I even when patients sometimes ask me that, and I'm like, well, I honestly can't tell you until we like take a look. And they're like,
Yeah.
what? How
Yeah.
much vitamin D should I be taking? I'm like, well, let's see
Um,
what your vitamin D level is, and then let's see how you respond, and then let's test. Yeah,
And it's
it
so
can
good to
be.
listen. I think you should have your thumb on the what's going on and the new stuff that's coming out. And influencers have a very wonderful gifting to do that, to
Mhm.
get the word out of like, oh, I didn't even know I should be paying attention to my vitamin D levels or blah blah
Right.
blah blah. But I mean, it makes me cringe when I hear the supplements and stuff that they're actually recommending. When you go and look
Mhm.
at them, please don't just
Yeah.
follow them. This is where critical thinking comes in. Really, it's really
Right. Right.
just take it for a grain of salt. Go get your own person. Because I would say everybody is different.
Mm.
Every single
Yes.
one of them. And everybody needs something different.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, and I think yeah, looking at influencers, knowing okay, they're making affiliate commissions, so they're getting monetized to tell you to take that
Hmm.
whatever
Yeah.
or do that
And they're
thing
not
or
all
whatever.
bad. It's just
Yeah,
you
yeah,
need to
for
know
sure. I
what's in it.
promote things that I know for me, like I've connected with people at times and they're like, it's not that they don't have great products,
Mhm.
but it's just not in line. Like there's a supplement company. I did I talked to this one woman and she does like gut health stuff,
Mhm.
great products,
Mhm.
but it just doesn't fit in with the recommendations that I give to my patients. So it doesn't make sense for me to like be an affiliate for her
Yep.
products. It's not that I
Yep.
don't love her products. I think her products are great. They taste great too. And like, but it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. I feel like it would be, I don't know what the word is. It would just not, it doesn't fit. It's not in alignment,
And
I
it's
guess.
sometimes because there's so many out. I think that's the beauty of the time that we live in too. There's so many options out there,
Right.
but at the same time, there's so many options out
Yeah.
there that we through them. But yeah, there are so many that are like they're so close,
Yeah.
but they always
Mhm.
compromise somewhere. And
Right.
you just have, and I'm all about informed consent.
Hmm.
If you know what's in it, you
Hmm.
know what it's going to do to you, and you willingly are like, no, I get it, and I'm good with that,
Hmm.
then forge
Yeah.
on.
Then
But
yeah.
don't jump into it just because somebody was like, here, take this.
Yeah. So one of the things that you coach people through is like detoxing, right? And I want to preface because detoxing to me means something different. But I think for most people, how about non-toxic living, right? And maybe reducing your exposure to toxins, to chemicals, things like that.
Yeah.
Um, w- that can be very overwhelming, I think, for people, right? We've had
Absolutely.
this conversation, like how what's a way that people can kind of get started? And you talked about
Yeah.
reading labels, like
Yeah.
how does that come into play?
So man, detox, because I know you see detox and people like, oh, I want to be on the toilet for a week. That is absolutely not what I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Uh-huh.
We talk about body burden. So our bodies are made so beautifully and amazingly, but yet we are living in a time you can't walk outside with being bombarded with stuff. I mean, you just know this. And
Right.
so between the air quality and all of the stuff outside of your house, there's so many
Mhm.
things you cannot control. That's just
Right.
going to happen. I'm air pollution, all the things.
Mhm.
Um, like I have a 5G tower, like half a mile from my house. I can't control where they're throwing these things up.
Right.
So the rule is control what you can control and don't get
Mhm.
overwhelmed by it. I love starting with things like what do you use the most often in your home? So
Right.
things that you're breathing in constantly. So
Mhm.
my first thing is always get rid of fragrance. Anywhere
Yeah.
in your house you have fragrance, the word now I will disclose that there laws have come out and companies have gotten better about just if it says fragrance, if there's an asterisk next to it and it says what's in it, let's comb through that. But typically my hard rule is if it says fragrance anywhere on the label, it'll also be called parfum or aroma. They're getting nice and creative with these words.
Right.
Um,
Makes it sound
yeah,
nice, right? Just
it's
we just
just
added aroma to
smell, but
it.
it's not. And there's that's the one of those words that it can incorporate up to 4,000, I believe it is now, ingredients that they don't have to disclose. So they use this umbrella term. It's like natural flavors or artificial
Right.
flavors in food,
Yeah.
where they can stuff all of these things in there without having to say what it is.
What it
To
actually
me, that's
is.
dangerous. I want to know everything that's in
Right.
something, especially if it's as dangerous as this, because typically the big hitters are they're going to be phthalates and parabens in those. And
Mhm.
those are the things that can cause, I mean,
Right.
name it, and it's probably happening to you. I mean, there's carcinogens, there's
Mhm.
endocrine disruptors. And when people freak out when I say endocrine disruptors, like, I don't care about my period, but you should. And it's
Yeah.
not just about your period. When I say endocrine, your endocrine system controls everything in your
Right.
body.
Mhm.
So, I mean, that could be causing acne, it could cause allergies, it could be causing
Mhm.
neuro things going on in your brain.
Right.
It's the easiest
Breast
thing to get
cancer
rid of,
risk.
but yet it's
It's
everywhere.
huge.
So
Mhm.
you do need to dig. You need to look at all the fragrances that you're putting in your house. Do you have candles? There are safe candles and there's not safe candles.
Right.
And I'm really picky about my candles. So,
Yeah.
because that's something you're burning, which takes it to a different level of
Yeah.
toxicity. Um, Laundry detergent, cleaning supplies.
Mhm.
And then you get into your personal care products and it's shampoo, lotions, everything you're putting
Right.
in and on your body, you should scrutinize with a fine tooth comb.
Mhm.
And I've run into people a lot of times and they say, like, I'll go through labels and I give my top fives of what you shouldn't have in your stuff. But one of them are ethoxylated ingredients, right? So pegs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And they said, "Oh, well, it's near the bottom so it's not that bad. The bottom of the ingredient label, right? Because is
Yeah.
the first
Yeah.
one on there has the most of it in there." I'm like, and then when you actually understand that the even teeny tiny particle, the smallest amounts. I mean, you talk about microplastics and stuff like that. Like the smallest amounts can wreak havoc in our body. It doesn't matter where it is on the ingredients label. Like you can't use it. So
Right.
you can, but again,
Yeah.
informed consent, you shouldn't use it. So
Right.
I love walking with people through cleaning things out in their house. And it's funny
Mhm.
because we don't think it's that big of a deal
Mhm.
until you distance yourself from it and then you go back into it. So say like you
Right.
grew up in a house where your parents smoked all the time. You didn't
Mhm.
really notice it that much, but you leave, you don't smoke, you go away for like 10 years and you come back into a smoker's house. You notice it. It's going to
Right.
inflame everything in your lungs. It's going to bother you. It's going to make your eyes water, all the things. That is what happens when you finally get rid of fragrance in your house.
Right.
It's sad to say it makes you really sensitive. I joke that I have to like come home from church because I'm a hugger too. And I come home from church and I have to like bathe myself because it's like I have all these like
Perfumes.
phthalates attached to me now. And it's like, oh man. But it really makes such a big difference. Every little thing that you do to
Mhm.
reduce the toxins in your life helps you so much. And it doesn't seem like it's doing all that much, but you have no idea. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah. I know those studies are insane that they like just the amount of chemicals in babies when babies are
Oh,
born.
It's terrible.
Then like the autopsies have showed microplastics in hearts,
Yeah.
and male testicles. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
just we are
It's everywhere. An important
swimming.
thing that they've discovered recently, I don't know how recent, but is that when you are pregnant, when you're building yourself, you're not pregnant yet. Let's pretend that. You've got
Mm,
eggs in there. You're actually, and then you get pregnant. Your baby that you're pregnant with is developing her eggs if it's a female.
right.
And you are then putting, like you just said, they are discovering all these chemicals in babies that are recently born through the umbilical cord and stuff. That same toxicity is passed into the eggs of that baby you're pregnant with. I know that seems like really complicated, but like, so basically your toxic load is getting passed to your grandchildren.
Right.
That's something to really grasp and
That's
go, okay,
insane.
if I can, take me out of the picture here, I shouldn't be the pecking order. My children should be, right? How can I elevate their health even just a little bit
Mm,
if I just take fragrance out of things?
right.
Let's just start there because that makes the
Mm,
biggest difference. I don't know if you saw that study where they women who had genetic markers for breast cancer
mm,
were in the positives just 2 weeks of using products that didn't have phthalates and parabens. They didn't say
right.
what the products were or the brands. I can't share that information,
Yeah.
but just those two things, which typically that's fragrance and a couple of other ingredients.
Yeah.
Their markers moved from positive into the negative in just 2 weeks. Like
Right.
that's huge. These are people who had genetic markers in that
Right.
positive. So
Mhm.
imagine the people that don't have genetic markers and that what difference we can do by just
Right.
making the smallest changes. And I
Mhm.
always tell people, don't be it can be super overwhelming because you walk in and you're like, what's in my house? It's everywhere. But m- as you're running out of something, just buy the non-toxic version of
Yeah.
it the next
Yeah.
time. And like I said, we're living in a time when there's so many options out there that
Mhm.
there's so many choices where it's kind of fun to go explore new brands and see which one works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a part of this non-toxic living a group on Facebook. And I mean it's huge. I mean, I want to say there's maybe like 40,000 people. I don't know.
Wow.
It's a like
That.
insanely large. I'm like, I got to pull up the Facebook group now. But I see that comment sometimes people will post like, I'm just so overwhelmed how
Yeah.
to even like get started because like I feel like everything is so bad for me. And so that's something, yeah, I commonly see is like, how do I even start? Now
Yeah,
I have to
and
look
I
to
always
see.
suggest go find someone that's gone through it. I remember when we
Hmm.
first started years ago, we first started with food. Food is a great place to start
Yeah.
with unloading your body burden. I mean, it's a foundational thing. Everyone should start detoxing the food in your life, but
230,000 members. That's how
that's
big that
amazing.
group is.
I love that.
Uh,
And you do have to watch those groups too, because sometimes they're selling something. So you just
right.
take it with it. Sometimes they're
Right.
not putting the right
Mhm.
information out there. But find someone who's gone through this. Because remember the first time that I went through, I spent 2 hours in the grocery store reading all the labels, trying to find out what we could eat. And I think I had 4 things in my grocery cart by the end of
Right.
it. And I was like, this can't be life after this can't be it. This is awful.
Right.
It's undoable. But as you go along and you just now your brands, I know what I go to the store for and I know what I get. It's just like
Yeah.
grocery shopping in the past. And
Mhm.
again, we're in the time where there's so many options now and they're getting
Right.
better with this stuff and they're becoming, and hopefully with, new people in offices that I'm very excited about. Hopefully even more is coming down the line.
Right.
But find someone who's gone through this before. Just
Mhm.
ask them to go to the grocery store with you. I love doing that with my friends. I'm like,
Mhm.
this brand, here's what you look for, here's what you don't. And also just ask for them brand recommendations. Shoot
Yeah.
them a picture. Be like, what you're in the chip aisle. Shoot a picture of the chip aisle. Like, which one do I choose?
Right.
And we are so excited to help so many of us, even people that don't do this for a living, because we
Yeah.
have been there and we've done the
You're
struggle and
like,
we
"Oh,
know how
yeah."
hard it is. And we don't
Mhm.
want you to have to go through that. Why reinvent the wheel when we've done it?
Right. Totally, totally. Yes, I know. And, yeah, so great to, yes, go through it with somebody who's, like, already and I think
Yeah.
that's what I see a lot of is, like, "What do you recommend for this?" Or, like, people will post pictures and be like, "Is this clean?" And
Yep.
so, yeah,
Yeah, join
finding
a
some
group. Find your
resources.
crunchy mom group in the area. Find a non-toxic living group. But again, be
Yeah.
aware because they're not all created equally. But join them just at least to get recommendations.
Yeah.
I love this. I mean, I'm part of like 4 or 5 of them. I've had to filter
Mhm.
out some because some are just like
Yeah.
sadly very toxic emotionally.
Well, yes, yes, yes. Well, and I've seen this one that I would say seems to be pretty good. This one that I'm in, but I've seen other people comment like, "Oh, I was in this group and it was just somebody trying to sell me their
Right. Yeah.
product,
You don't need
so
spammy Tammy in there getting your
yeah.
stuff. Nope. That drives
Uh,
me crazy. There's a way to just be an authentic human and help
um,
people. Yeah.
yeah. So is there anyone like that you do, who is your, just somebody's listening to this and, is interested in, is there anyone you don't work with or, a specific type of person, I guess, if somebody's listening to
Oh, you
this and
mean like
going,
for
I want her
coaching?
to help me. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I'll help anybody. I do specifically like to focus on women. I'm just kind of that person that I'm not going to get into an intimate business relationship with a man. I have those boundaries up.
Yeah.
But my husband would love to help you.
There you go.
But he's not quite in the coaching world yet, but he's like, we're gonna get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's super passionate about that. But any women out there at all, you don't have to be a Christian, but just be fair warned that I don't have a conversation without talking about God. So
Hmm.
it's gonna be looped in there. But if you're open to
Yeah.
finding like ways that I've found true healing and others have it too, feel free. But yeah, I'm more excited about people that are like, I always go back to that passage in the Bible where Jesus was confronted the man at the well who was waiting for years and years and years to be healed. And he went up to him and he asked him, do you want to be healed? And he
Hmm.
started giving all these excuses and like, oh, I can't because I can't do this and I can't do this.
You can't go down by the pool. People,
The
yeah.
answer, that's not the question.
Mm.
Do you want to be healed? I am coaching works for people who are ready, who
Right.
want to be healed or are ready to pick up their mat and ready to walk. Because if we're constantly making excuses or blaming other people, and again, I can work with you through that too, because that's a mental block. But you're going to get the most out of it when you're like, yep, I'm ready to do whatever it takes. I'm sick and
Mhm.
tired of being sick and tired. Let's go.
Mhm. Love it. Love it. And we've got a link if that's you and you're wanting to reach out to Dana, or Jan, who said Dana? Jana, we
Go
have a
first.
Calendly link that we'll put in the show notes where you can grab a spot on her calendar. And then where we've got your website is janaskaudis.com.
Mhm.
I said it correctly, right?
Scout us, but it's fine.
Scoudis.
You're
Gosh,
not
see, I knew it.
saying the website when you're typing it in, so it's all good.
Yeah. I was like, did I say it right? No,
It's
I
a
messed it
funky
up.
name. It really is.
Scoudis.
If you
So, and
need a
then they can find you on Instagram at Jana_Skaudis.
yes.
Yes. Got it.
Yeah.
But we will link that in the show notes so you can just click the link
Yep.
and find her easily. So
Mhm.
awesome. This has been great. It's just great to hear other people's perspectives. I had that same kind of experience where I think I shared this with you, but I worked with a business coach.
Mm,
And they were just more spirit, like energetic type of things.
yeah.
The current community I'm in is led by a woman who's just open about her faith, as a Christian and just how she views things. And it's just made a difference for me to have somebody who kind of shares that same view. Cause I feel like that's a part of, your belief structure. You can't really separate
Absolutely.
from other parts of life. So it makes sense to, right, include that viewpoint when you're making these changes about your health and your life. So,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah.
And I found a lot of times, just to caveat on that, um, that the changes happen sometimes because I've tried it for me and I can when you step out, when our belief system tells us it's not about you, you die, you put yourself aside and you become more like Christ. That sometimes is the ticket. Like it's about me becoming a better version of myself because that old me is funky and weird and it's not serving me at all. How do I do that? And sometimes just linking up with the fact that there is a higher being up there who wants you to be a new creation, that
Right.
sometimes unlocks it right there.
Right. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well, awesome. Thank you so much, Jana. And again, we'll put the links in the show notes. And so people can reach out to you, follow
That
you, all the good things. So
sounds fantastic. Thank you so much, Lori. This was fun.
yes, yes, I agree. Love chatting all things
Yeah.
like this. So
Yeah.